Welcome to Deep Conversations Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Ryan Stewart, and today I'm blessed to be here with I guess I would like to say a serial entrepreneur. She does a whole lot. Her name is Trisha Pease, and she is the owner of I Salon. But before we get started, Miss Trisha, I want to bring the viewers into who you are and just give them an idea of who you are. So can you talk about the beginning for you and, a little bit of your childhood upbringing?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Mhm.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for just shining the light on, just us here from Port St. Lucie, little old
Yeah.
Port St. Lucie. So childhood, I was born in Jamaica and brought here young, and was raised in Fort Pierce. So a
Okay.
lot of people are always like, "Are you from here?" Like,
Yeah.
you're from here. I think it's all just a mindset, really. You don't have to adapt to your environment. You could, if you have this vision, you can really just make it happen. But no matter like your surroundings or the people around you and stuff. So my upbringing, my dad is Italian, my mom is Jamaican,
Mhm.
and obviously, in that kind of household. It was not like strict, but my dad was very kind of like a, how you call it, army dad, like
Yeah, like
very.
the like military and like discipline.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that actually, like, looking back at it, I am so grateful, so thankful for that. And I actually started in karate at 8 years old.
Hmm.
And I remember my dad telling me that it's going to teach me discipline. It's going to teach me how to complete something, a task. And it's going to show for people that when I say that I'm a black belt or a sensei, they're going to be like, oh, wow. Like
Yeah,
I was 8 years old and he's telling me this. And I'm just like, okay, whatever,
I
whatever.
know.
Even though I wanted to do dance, I wanted to do other stuff, but he made sure that I was doing karate, and we would go to competitions, we would compete. So I really enjoyed fighting.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so that's another story I have, a little later. But
Yeah.
um, it was a good upbringing. We have a small family. All my family is in Jamaica, so I don't really have a big family. But the little family that I do have, we like to carry our traditions and morals, and
Hmm.
every holiday and so forth. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for like childhood. I have a brother that I was raised with, who pretty much kind of like twins, and we are very opposites, but we have the same mindset.
Yeah.
He's more of the quiet, and I was more of the like social butterfly. I definitely, like, I don't know if you want this in here, but I was like picked on as a kid.
Oh. Hmm.
Because being a mixed kid, it was really hard because they have like the white kids and the black kids, and then here was me with my curly hair, and I was super hairy everywhere, and people would just pick on me all the time, and it was just kind of hard to find like who did I belong to. So
Hmm.
I was never like a cliquey person, even as growing up, and working in other salons where they had cliques, and women had their friend
Yeah.
groups. I never had a real friend group. So I just kind of like ran by myself. So like they say, like, alpha women don't run in packs. I didn't know I was gonna be an alpha woman.
Yeah.
So I think that helped. It did help being like not a part of something, to show me that I don't have to feel accepted, you know. But that's pretty much, my middle school was always being picked on. And then I think high school, I just didn't care. I was like, let
I
me
know.
just do my goofy stuff. I don't care. I was a nerd. I had straight A's. Made sure that I don't know who I was competing with, but I always wanted straight A's, like extra credit, a principal honor roll. I just wanted that. I didn't think I was going to be going to some university, which I didn't. I wasn't doing it for that. It was just for my like own satisfaction that I'm
Hmm.
making these straight A's. And I sat in the front of the class. I was like a teacher's pet, made sure that I just kind of like was no one else in the room. It's just me and the teacher. And that's
But
pretty
you know
much
what that?
it.
But you know what though? Listening to you, it kind of sounds like me because me also being light skinned. You know what I mean? But it was in middle school you get picked on. So high school, I'll be thinking about it now when I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I know people that I went to school with are like, Ryan is doing a podcast because I didn't talk to nobody. I mean, I was by myself, and I think that was from middle school, and just I guess a boy. I held everything in because I'm like, man, in high school, you hear stories going into high school, and I'm like, in high school,
Yeah.
if somebody say something to me, I'm gonna just have to fight, But it was, I think that stemmed from middle school, always getting picked on, going home just so mad all the time. You know what I mean? So for you, what's the time that you remember when that hunger for you started to work on your own, go into your own
For
business?
like the business industry. So
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I was discouraged because in the beauty industry, it was always like looked down on. It was like
Hmm.
not a real career. It wasn't a real job. People just thought it was just like a little like side hustle,
Hmm.
So when my mom at 13, I actually started at 13. So about 14 years ago, um, I used to model and I would do the makeup for other models. I'll do the makeup for myself. And we had to do it ourselves. Like we didn't, I don't know, at that time, we didn't have
Yeah.
people doing it. So I would do it. And then at 16, my mom was like, you need to be a travel makeup artist. You need to take this seriously and get your business cards and stuff like that. I was like, no, mom, this is not a real career. This is not a real job. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a lawyer or something. That's what I told her. So I actually kind of wanted to get into like CIA or something at one
Yeah.
point. And then I actually was going to college to become a child psychologist. So I got into like psychology a lot more, and with children. So that's what I was really veering off to. But as I hit 18, that's when I was like, okay, this is gonna be my job. I don't know if you want me to give you the whole breakdown of how I discovered this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want me to
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I've said this story so many times, but I think that I haven't really said it in like a real setting like this.
Hmm.
But at 18, I was going to college, and obviously in psychology and so forth. And there was this girl that she always wanted to start like problems with me. It was just
Hmm.
a never ending thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's because she also knew that I was a black belt. And I told her, I was like, look, you don't want to fight me. I can fight. You don't want
Yeah.
that. You don't want the smoke.
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of like it made her want it even more. Like, okay, let me really see. So yeah, we were on college campus. We got into a fight, and she started it. That we're always taught as a black belt never to start a fight, never, just to defend yourself, not go overboard or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were on campus and we were leaving, and I told her, I said, can you just leave me alone? It was funny at first, you harassing me and all that stuff, but now it's just getting overboard. And then she, obviously like put her hands on me. We fought, and she ended up in the ICU in the hospital, and the police came to the campus and grabbed me. And I just thought it was a normal girl cat fight. I
Hmm.
didn't know she was gonna go over extreme and
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. It was a long case. I was fighting for 5 years. I was fighting this case
Ooh.
for 5 years. It was even expired after 3 years. Then I had to get re-enrolled. So I had to go back into jail and then get bonded back 2 minutes later just because it was expired. So I was fighting this case. And anyways, in the meantime, obviously we get suspended from the college campus. So I'm like, man, what do I do with my time? And I've always had the passion for beauty. And I was listening to Steve Harvey, and he was always on the radio, X102.3,
Yeah.
and in the morning times. And I was driving, and he gave this advice to someone, and he said, turn your passion into your career and charge for it. And I was like,
Mm.
all this free stuff. At 16 years old, my mom did create business cards for me. She got me a kit, put on makeup, and I was just like, no, mom, this is not my path. And I started doing stuff for free, and then $20 traveling here and there, $20. I wasn't really trying to like make money at the time. I was just trying to get my name out. And so I decided, I was like, all right, let me go sign up for cosmetology. I'm suspended for a year. I don't want to waste this time.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing cosmetology, and that's how I got more into that. So
It's crazy because I read the Bible a lot now that I'm older. You know what I mean? Just to give me
mhm,
a base. You know what I mean? And listening to you and thinking about that verse of an idle mind. It's they say an idle mind is like the devil's playground. But if you just sit and just don't do anything, so listening to you and saying I can't waste this time because that's when anxiety set in. That's when depression
Mhm.
can set in, and all
Yeah.
type of anger and
And it
stuff
can
like that.
overpower you.
Woo.
You start thinking like, I have this now. This is in my way. Now I can't do it because of this.
Yeah.
And it even got, worse. There was a time that when I was in cosmetology school, Sephora had just opened here, and everybody, all these girls that want to be makeup artists, wanted to work there. They reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we want to hire you." So I went over there to the interview, and the lady, I get in, and she's like, Trisha, I really wanted you to work here, but I did your background test and your check, and I realized you can't. There's no way around it. Your background is dirty. And that's when I was working at KFC at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the call that they wanted me, you don't understand. My manager was so sad because it was her and I in there, whipping up that chicken.
But she knew, see,
And
but she knew
'cause-
you was gonna be you. She knew you was gonna leave.
yeah, yeah. And I was hard working. When I came back, she was like, I was sad for you, but I'm actually really happy for me that
Yeah.
you didn't get hired. And I was like, wow. So I went back and I was like, now I have to make it work for myself. Now I have to make my own business or something, my own salon. And I was against work, having my own salon because I wanted to travel. I didn't want to have to be stuck or grounded somewhere.
Mm.
But I was like, you know what? I have this time where I could really sacrifice 5, 6 years to really put that work in. And then when it's time for me to travel, it'll happen. I had a young daughter. I had her at 20 while I was in cosmetology school. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what helped me like also stay grounded as well, gave me that push. But I was pregnant. What was it? I was pregnant while KFC, and I quit because I was like, this is too much. I
Yeah.
had too much going on.
Yeah.
But that whole experience of like getting denied, and that was not the only time. I went to Mac, I got denied 2 times,
Mm.
and that just kept showing to me like this is clearly it's not working for a reason, and it didn't need to be at that time. Obviously, we always question like why me, why now,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't think of like the bigger picture. This is the reason why it didn't happen because I was
Mm-hmm.
meant for something bigger. So and that testimony, like, it really stuck with me. And when mentoring or doing my business seminars, I'm able to share that story because we all have stories. It's just like, how do you flip it around and turn it and grow from it? How do you use it to upscale? Because a lot of people can sit and cry. And I've had times of, crying, but I was like, I don't got too much
Mm-hmm.
time to cry. I gotta
Yeah.
keep it pushing.
Now, as a
So
now as an
yeah.
entrepreneur, right? I don't think people understand the difficulty of it because I think they just see entrepreneurship and you just see the finished product or something. But everything that goes on backstage, I mean, the when I say late nights, that is like it ain't even.
It's
I
true.
don't even call it nights no more. It's just you're just up. It's just
It's just it's just normal at this point.
yeah.
it's like
But
it's like it's not like a you have it's just like it becomes part of your schedule, your normal routine. You want your business to work. You can't just be there when it's open.
mhm. And
You have to do the sorry.
no, go ahead. Say what you was gonna say.
Yeah. You got to do the behind the scene work. And like you were saying, a lot of people think that overnight success or entrepreneurship is just you just do one thing and it's just there. There's a lot of behind the researching, the late
Mm.
night. I'm telling you, I'll stay up till 2 a.m. talking to people in China because that's the time that they're awake and
Yeah.
getting things, making orders, making sure that labels, like everything is to the T detailed. I'm a very detailed person, and I make sure that when my clients come in here, they're gonna get what they want, even more. I want to make sure that even if they come in here upset, they're gonna leave happy.
Hmm.
And that takes a lot of researching, making sure that they're getting exactly what they want, or even if they can't get what they want, then you can substitute and still make them.
Yeah.
There's a lot behind it. Right now I'm actually in the process of opening 2 more businesses, so
I was gonna ask you that too if you was going to expand outside of
yeah.
and going to different states.
And I think that as a business owner, I think what really works is when people get obsessed with continually bettering themselves and not just settling when they reach their goal.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
um,
I was going to say it's funny, Tika, we're both entrepreneurs, so we agreeing on a lot of this stuff. But when you were talking, I was saying to myself, I'm like, it's almost psychotic because you can't. I mean, like you really can't stop. I mean, my wife sometimes she'd be like, you still on the computer, and I'm like, I got to do this. I gotta finish this website. I gotta finish doing this over here. I gotta do, and then I'm trying to line up episodes and guests and things
Yeah.
like that. And it's sometimes, I mean, it's even when you do get a chance to rest, your mind doesn't turn on.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
My fiance, he'll be like, "All right, babe, it's time for bed. It's 2
No.
a.m. It's time to go shut off." I'm like, listen, I can't. And
Yeah.
the part of that too, I have stuff ADHD. So, I
Uh-huh.
have ADHD, so I have like 20 tabs open in my brain and on my laptop and on my phone. So I'm constantly jumping from here to here to there. Gotta make sure this is done. And that's why I have all these projects open, is because I constantly need to be stimulated
Yeah.
or working on something.
Hmm.
Sorry, let me.
And even when you think about it too, it's like you said, your fiance is like, all right, it's time to shut off. It's like I can turn the phone off, but my brain, I'm not
My
gonna go to
brain.
sleep. I'm gonna be laying. I'm gonna just be laying in the dark because it's like the ideas are gonna keep coming. It's like something may have happened at the shop or something you've seen, or then something just pops
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
it's like, oh, I gotta. This will be good to do this. Maybe I can. I need to write it down because
Right, this way.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much.
Constantly finding solutions, like constantly thinking about how to just better or grow or maybe try this way. Because you usually during the day you're doing the physical work.
Mm,
You have time to think, but you don't really have it like too much downtime because you're physically putting so much. And
yeah.
that's what I kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, suffered from here in a salon. I got to the point I was working 10 hours a day straight with clients, not that extra little time of doing things to the shop or research and stuff. It was 10 hours straight with clients. And so I'm on my feet. I don't have time to like do the background work on my phone. So I started lacking in my marketing. I started lacking in, communicating with people on social media. Like I was
Mhm.
lacking in that area. But even though I had a receptionist, she was super busy as well, physically, making sure all the ladies here were taken care of, things were restocked, and we were just going. I even had a point where I was like, should I hire another receptionist? Like
Mhm.
it got to that point. Sorry,
And
my phone. I put it on do not disturb.
yeah, and and
Let
and
me.
it and it's have you and you saying that now, because this question is for me, but what strategies do you use to market your business? Because for me, I've been doing this podcast thing, I probably want to say 3 years. And as I'm growing and growing and growing and learning and doing some things and trying to expand,
There's so many
I need
ways.
to do more. I need to do more marketing. That's the thing. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm doing so much of this, I don't feel like getting on social media and trying to, I guess, post a reel or something. But I have to do that. It has to
Yeah.
be done.
So I'm gonna tell you the story. Yesterday, okay, I made a reel down to the T. Wording, everything was timed perfectly. I posted it. There was no sound. I was like, why is no sound? Then they don't even have a way for you to save the video and repost. You have to delete the whole thing and redo it.
Oh.
So I'm over here, the fireworks about to come off, for the July, they're about to start. I'm over here like 8:54, 8:56. I gotta redo this real quick. Let me hurry up and put this out there so that when people are on social media, there's more viewing. Everyone's gonna be online right now and soon seeing what everybody else is up to. So I'm like, I need to push it out there. I redid the whole video again, everything in the detail, right on the right timing, posted it. Something just was wrong with the sound. So I got so frustrated. I was like, oh, I can't wait till I don't have a business that doesn't need social media.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's even if we don't like doing it and don't feel like doing it, we have to like put that aside at some point and just it's a discipline.
Mm,
I have to do this for myself.
yep.
I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like getting right in front of the camera and making this little reel and adding this little stuff because I rather do other things,
Hmm.
But you got to have that time. And how I usually do And I know you asked me about marketing and stuff. So on my like Mondays are my
Mm.
downtime. So Sundays we get home, grocery shop, clean, do our
Right.
stuff at home and get set up for the week. And then on Mondays, after dropping my daughter to school or wherever, I'm able to like now write a list of to do. And then I check my, obviously Facebook, you're going to post on Facebook with the ads. Everyone knows about that. Instagram ads, things like that. But I think is like studying the times when people are on social media. What are they looking for? What value can you give to them? Because anybody could do like a little dance and whatnot, and you can state a couple facts or whatever. But like
Mm-hmm.
people want value. People want free information that they don't have to pay for.
Mm.
Sadly, so you have to somewhat give them a little, in
I
your
know.
reels or in your social media or in your marketing, something, but it's gonna like have them bite. And I see that a lot more as I'm signing up for these other business free seminars. They're
Mm-hmm.
also having you pay for a package. They wheel you in, give you a little bit, just enough for you to be like, wow, this is some good information. I want more. So there's a lot of marketing strategies. And I think the biggest one that you have to always keep in mind is a call to action. So once you post something, you have to have something in your caption, DM info for more information, DM connect to get started. You don't want to just post something out there and it's just floating around without you having, people in your DMs, hey, let's get started.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing. Obviously, there's a physical way of marketing. You have to get out there. One of my strategies I'm actually about to do, or a plan, I created something on Canva, and I'm turning them into stickers. So now that we are in Orlando, I'm going to start putting the stickers all in like the fitting rooms of these malls. I'm going to put
Mm.
stickers down in the bathroom stalls. This is where people, it's subliminal messages. They
Yeah.
see it. Oh, microblading class. Oh, business classes. And it's a QR code on there. So they don't have to do much. They can just scan it and just kind of like read it. And, there's that way. Like you got to get smarter with these marketings
I
because
never
people
even thought of
now, they
that.
see the ad. Yeah. They
Man.
see an ad and they just skip right past it. You gotta know how to like think to yourself, what would intrigue you? What would make you click on something? What would make you feel like, wow, I want to get involved in that?
Mm-hmm.
So none of that boring, long stuff anymore. People are very and it comes with reels too, 10 seconds or less,
Yeah.
15 seconds or less, or
So
you lose them. A lot of people have short attention span. If I'm not getting the value in this next 3 seconds, I'm gonna skip by it.
my dad,
So
I remember my dad told me that. My dad said, he said, you gotta realize when he's like when you're doing stuff or you're trying to grab people's attention, he was like, people's attention span is like, he was like, if you can't grab them in 5, 10 seconds, they're going. Like they're moving on.
yeah.
And I'm seeing it. It's the truth. That's the truth.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna ask you, what would you say is the one thing that you most enjoy about being an owner of a 99?
Oh man. So obviously the first thing comes to my mind is my daughter and then the women that are impacted.
Mm-hmm.
Um when it really hit me was when my daughter was going across her graduation stage for her pre-K, going into kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
and they always ask the kids like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you kind of
Yeah.
know where the story is going. So she gets on stage and she's like, "I want to work at my mommy's salon," and I
Oh.
turned and look at her dad and I'm like, "Mm-hmm, okay,"
But then
because
it's like now you got to make this thing. You
yeah,
got to make
exactly.
this
So
thing
it's
work
like,
out.
yeah, I got to make it work. She's watching me, the women that I get random messages through my day. And when I even first opened, or even before I opened, I have random people that, hey, I've been watching you, keep going. And I'm
Mm.
just like, oh, I forget that to sit in the moment to realize what am I doing now and the impact that it is. Even though we are so far ahead and we're thinking about what we're not doing, what I need to be doing, things like that, there's people that are watching. So I think the most thing that I'm very proud of is that all the women that has came and got the value, because obviously, like we talked about earlier, valuable. Like what is
Mm.
value? And you're not going to have influence if you don't have value. And the amount of women that has came here and taken their courses, that has got certified and licensed, the amount of women that not just that, but continued after this and opened their salon and became successful. And I always tell my students, your success is shown through your students. So me, my goal, I tell them their first 30 minutes of my class, my goal is for you to come out of here with your license and your certificate, feeling prepared for the outside world, feeling prepared when you get into your clients and you have your own salon, that oh, Trisha did tell me about this. I do have to watch out for that, because I was there in a moment where I was looking for that, for a mentor, for a blueprint, for some type of guidance, and I did not have that. I had to study the people that had that. I messaged like 500 people. If I could have paid whatever I needed to pay to know the knowledge I know now, I would have done that. I would have, but I reached out and I reached out and I kept on getting roadblocks, literally roadblocks. I went here, failed. Went here, failed. Went there, learned a lesson. And it's not all failing. You're learning what not to do. So, but the thing is though, it just, when you don't have a mentor or you don't have a blueprint, it takes you much longer. And it took me, even though I opened my business at 23 years old, a lot of people say that's young. I could have done it sooner. If I had the proper steps and the guidance and coach and mentorship, so I always say, make sure to invest into a mentor, invest into getting some knowledge or business tips and things like that. So that's why now that I do that, because I wish I could have had that.
Yeah.
But
I always say, when you get into entrepreneurship or, you try to jump into your own business, you cannot do it on your own. You know what I mean? You think about it, there are going to be a lot of nights where you're alone by yourself and you got to be the one to do it. But you need people to do this, because if you think about it, if you really did it on your own, you would mentally go berserk.
I've had them times. But I actually, in the middle of opening my salon, it was 1:00 in the morning. I got home from painting, and because I did a lot of the physical work here, so did my family. I didn't have to hire anybody, so we're very hands-on, handy with a lot of construction stuff. And I got home, and because I worked the 10 hours, then I came here and painted and things, and I almost fainted. And then we went to the hospital, and they said I was like having a panic attack. I felt like my lungs were closing. I was dehydrated. I needed more potassium. And I ran myself literally, like the next day. They said, here, get this paper bag, breathe in it. I still came here. I had the paper bag, painting, pulling stuff up or whatever. But, that's what happens when you try to do it alone. So it's good to make sure that you have that team, or you have that knowledge, or you invest into that little bit extra step. And a lot of people try to cut corners, and that's what happens when you cut corners.
You ain't lying. So I got three more questions. I'm gonna ask you this one. What are three of the most important habits that you just have to live by when you're dealing in your life and in business?
Okay, so this is for both. I think top one is organization. Obviously, our life gets busier. Everyone doesn't have just one job. If they have a job, they're working on a business as well. If they have a business, they probably got two. So it's not just a one thing. So you have to properly organize. And I'm telling you, I don't even have my planner right now, but I do got it. It's here. I travel with my planner. I live off that. And there was a time, of the part of the depression that I was going through. And the reason I had depression too, I wasn't in my planner writing down what I had to do for the next day or for the week. I wasn't looking forward to things. I kind of was just getting on by, I'm sorry.
No, you good.
There we go. I should have had do not disturb on. Phone just going off right now. But anyways, yes, organization is definitely the first habit you have to have. Okay, discipline, that it all kind of connects together. Once you're organized, obviously you have to be disciplined enough to organize yourself and your life and what you got going on. Let me see another habit for what in life in general and business.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's you have to develop social skills, even though we can be very, and I had a point, like I said, I actually had depression like 3 times in my life. That first to second time, or around there, I had to get out of this, like, being introverted, because we love to go around talking about I'm an introvert. It's actually, no, we just don't know how to socialize properly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think what helped me was being in the service industry. I was doing, a restaurant job, and I was waitressing and things like that. And that actually pulled me out of my depression. I had to literally fake it at the moment of being happy. And then your mind sends off these signals that you are actually happy. So then you start believing it, and then you do become happy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you got to develop these social skills. I think that could really, it would help with your business. It would and just knowing how to, like, problem solving. There we go. Giving a problem solving, and that's just in life and in business. That's how you become successful. So I don't know if I got off track. I think I said organization,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, discipline, kind of, and then social skills,
Mm-hmm.
and then let me see a third one for business and life. I think it's just like being optimistic, because I think so many people now are suffering from, like, staying put and still. Like, they feel like, a lot of people that I've been speaking to lately, they're like, I think I'm just, like, lost. I'm just floating by. I'm just going day by day through the routine, but they don't have that fulfillment. So I think that was definitely, like, being optimistic is looking at the brighter things, even in the times of, like, oh, I don't feel like doing it right now. Oh, I don't feel like, oh, this is going on with me, and I'm depressed. And we're, the foods we're eating, the stuff that we're watching, the things that we're listening to, that's just, like, putting you down, and you're, being more negative than positive. So if you're optimistic to think of, like, there is something better at the end of this. Oh, I'm going to work every day. I'm not seeing much improvement. You never know. There's a little bit that we don't see that we're doing. And then at the end of the month, wow, I actually did complete this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being just optimistic that you're going to get somewhere. It is going somewhere. You just have to, overcome those thoughts.
And that's true, because I think we all we can't stop those from coming in. We can't stop the negative thoughts from coming in sometimes. It's what we do with them when they show up. Because, like you said, it's we have to train our minds to think more positive, because once you just you train that to do that, that negativity can't get in there.
Something, back in 2018, 2017, first of all, 2017 is when I went through my awakening. Okay. I started seeing more. I started trying to escape the matrix. Just realizing what is causing that mood in my body. And I used to work with ladies that were 40 and up, 50 and up. I'm the youngest one, 21 years old at that time. And they asked me, like, how do you, like, stay so happy? And I'm like, as soon as I get a negative thought, boom. I literally just, I literally, I don't know how to explain what I do, but I just push it back it back into the back of my brain. Like, no, and I also said something that has carried over, obviously, since we were kids, but if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I like to be a realist, though. I am going to say what is the reality of things. I'm going to be logical, and it could have some, like, hurtfulness behind it or something, but that's where we as adults need to know how to separate a logical response from emotional responses, and, like, okay, this is actually constructive criticism. So sorry, I know I'm just kind of going
No, you good. No, you good.
Yeah, that's how, like, think people can perceive things as being negative or whatever. But I think if you just have a positive way of looking at it, I had a lady at the old salon I was working at, and she was a receptionist there, and I was just a worker. And she told me, delete that stuff off your social media. Delete this picture. It's not good enough. And And automatically my offense was, I'm keeping it. It looks good to me.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, it looks good to me. Like, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
But then I literally gave it a couple hours and I was like, you know what? She really just sees more for me. And then she sees that I can work in these areas a little bit better. I don't want to display this look for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? She just wants better. And I think that's when I started looking at everything. Whenever somebody would say something to me, I'm like, you know what? That is correct. Like, I do need
Yeah.
work on this. So I think we always are always on this defense mechanism of like, no, but it like we think we're always right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to take a step back, you know?
I just had a episode with she's a friend of mine, but she's like a brand strategist, and she was telling me the same thing you were just kind of saying. She was like, you have to understand when you're branding you become the brand. So everything
Everything.
from the colors to everything, wherever you are that brand, and you got to portray that. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask you this. So, you at the age you are now, and everything you've been through, what would you tell little Trisha?
Oh, there's a lot because I'm a person that I do reflect a lot in the past, which is one of my downfalls, but I use it to try to figure out what to not to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But little Trisha, honestly, I would just really just tell her it's all gonna work out. Because I'm not gonna tell her to, um, work less or
Mm-hmm.
enjoy life more, or I needed to do exactly what I did to be where I am right now, to have the life lessons I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I actually did party with my friends and, hey, come, let's go, and did enjoy that, I would not be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really just say, listen, it is going to work out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all these late nights, all these tears, all this depression, it's not. Don't worry so much. I think we worry, and even right now I see, it's kind of crazy because a lot of people my age right now they're trying to do their businesses. Now they're trying to take life a little bit more serious because they had their partying years.
Yep.
They had their college life, and I didn't do all that. I would watch it, on social media, like, oh, nice,
I
nice
know.
one
I'll be
day.
looking at it, I'm like, man, that looked fun, man. But it's just
Yeah, but
can't do it.
if I would have done it that way right now, I see a lot of things that are being saturated. It's so oversaturated. It's too many. And I think a lot of my friends, if I could just reach out, and I do, I'm like, hey, maybe try this route instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's trying to do. I don't want to knock anything, but a lot of people are trying to do real estate. A lot of people are trying to get an esthetician, and I see that so much right now because it's a growing
And
industry.
even
But
podcasts.
yeah,
It's podcasts everywhere.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to do a podcast, and I've been back in 2021 is when I was supposed to start, but I
Started.
was so busy. I told you I was literally physically working so much I couldn't do the stuff that I wanted to do, on my phone and whatnot. So back in 2021, I wanted to do that, and I think that there's room for everybody. Obviously, there's room for everybody, but now you have to be a little bit more strategic on how you're going to be differentiate yourself from the rest. So back then it was easier. It was hard, but it was easier for me to be the beauty guru in Treasure Coast
Mm-hmm.
because it was not that saturated. Now it's a little saturated.
It's
So
everywhere.
now
Yep.
everybody wants to be that beauty guru or that lash tech or that,
Mm-hmm.
known for but there's just so many. So now you have to know how to differentiate yourself. Like, what are you going to offer that this person doesn't offer that person? Because a lot of it is very similar. And
that's where
but yeah.
that's where the kind of, I don't want to say fear, but I think we all have those thoughts of like you said, it's so saturated. We have to learn to stay in our own lane, kind of like you was just saying. And it's like it's hard to do that when it's 1,000 cars on the road. You know what I mean? And just the people might try to jump in your lane and all that, but you gotta be. But that's like you said, with you being creative and on Canva with the stickers and stuff. It just try to be different. So one more question for
Mhm.
kind of similar to the previous question, but through everything, or you sitting right here under your Anai sign, what have you learned about yourself mentally and spiritually?
Um, so spiritually, I was very, very connected years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when not having boundaries, so this is all ties in together. Not
Mm-hmm.
having boundaries, you can actually get brought away from your spiritual path, and I think I as a business owner who is empathetic, we tend to mix in, oh, well, this is my friend. Oh, well, this girl, she needs this. And it all comes like you're not supposed to do things and expect things in return, but sometimes it could hinder us in our spiritual growth and our mental by always constantly being like, hey, let me hold your hand, come with me. Because that person wasn't ready at that time, but you're like, I see the potential in you. I see
Yep.
that you could be much more.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are, taking that time away, dividing our time that we could have been, getting connected in our faith, and the time that we could have been mentally just prepping and being selfish and pouring it into ourselves. We're over here splitting it and dividing it 10 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say boundaries is one thing I have learned in this industry. And now I know how to say things, get it across, and just be like, hey, it's nothing personal. I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to say no without having to explain yourself. So I think people now, they're getting it. They're
Yeah.
all kind of on the same wave path, but back then I would feel guilty. I'm telling you, if I posted I was at the beach, I would have clients. I thought you said you was booked and busy. I thought you said you didn't have time. I'm telling you, people were like that.
And it's like,
And
when you
me,
think about it, it's like
I'm
I don't
okay.
have time because I'm at the beach.
But I barely even had time to go to the beach. But when I
Mm.
got the final chance, then you feel guilty. That you're like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'll just go ahead and stay late. Take this client. It's all right. I'll do that. I'll fit this in. And there's a lot of times I'm like, man, where's that fine line? Like, where's that line between boundaries or, wanting to make your business grow? And then
Mm.
sometimes it just gets mixed in, and it's a cycle. If you don't learn it, it's gonna keep on happening. So I think just obviously, keep your faith, pray when times when you're stuck, you're like, God, just speak to me and show me the path, and there's times where I was like literally stuck. I got to the point, and I never will go to like a fortune teller
Mm-hmm.
ever. I got to the point I was like, gosh, like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
I need something to
Yeah.
talk to me. Like, and I was like, one of my clients was like, I know this girl. I know, here's her number. I was like, man, oh no, sounds good because I really, really need it right now.
Yeah.
But you gotta really just know how to. It's all balance, balancing the time of like when you wake up in the morning. What is the first thing that you do? Do you check your phone and constantly respond back to clients and try to fit them all in your schedule, or do you take that like extra 5-10 minutes just to give God thanks and to just get spiritually connected, do a little bit of meditating and listening to something positive and how you're going to start your day, and then it's like little by little. That's how you got to
Yep.
incorporate those things. And so yeah, I know I'm just kind of talking all
No,
over.
no, no, that's good because it's funny, your answer. I'm learning now. 'Cause I like to ask that question because it kind of brings it's a different it's a different avenue that people can give you, and it's well, the one thing that I've noticed about everybody that's been on my podcast. I mean, I've had Tommy Davidson on my podcast. I've had old WWF wrestlers on my podcast, other comedians that was on Def Jam, and they've all said the same thing. It's always the same thing. It's just like just the not only just the boundaries, it's just to give myself a little bit of grace sometimes. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I'm I'm I'm
Ooh.
I'm reaching myself out to everybody to help everybody else, but in doing that, I'm
You think you're
I'm
not doing enough?
and I'm giving you my energy, and now my energy is gone.
Yeah, and you get exhausted because
Mhm.
you're pouring it, and then you're also receiving other energies. So
Mhm.
you're, like it's kind of getting, and you got to know how to like that, like we said, the boundaries. Once you have boundaries, then you're able to like, level up. You're able to pour that
Mhm.
back to you. You're able to recharge up. So I think everybody is experiencing it,
Mhm.
obviously in their life, and it might have to come 5 times. It might have to happen
Yeah.
10 more times, or even just one time in their life. But um, I think that is like this secret to having anything
Mm.
is practicing boundaries, how to speak to people, you know, keeping your spiritual, not losing it. Because once you do that and you start thinking of like me, I gotta do it for money, 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 then it's just like you're not having the right um intentions, so that all the
And then
wrong things
it's not fun anymore.
yeah, it's not because you're constantly chasing something.
Hmm.
And once you actually start, finding the passion, having the boundaries, setting the good intentions, staying positive, everything that is connected. Like we said earlier, everything is connected. When you start putting that out there, things will come.
Hmm. I know
And
that's the one thing that I had to learn. Because tell you a quick story before we're done, but 3 years ago, it was I was having like it was like heavy on me. I'm like, man, I'm tired of doing a 9 to 5. Like this ain't it for me no more. I can't. I would have those thoughts where I'm like,
hmm
is this what is this what life's supposed to be like? I'm waking up every single day and I got to go to this job. This ain't fun. This is not what it's supposed to be. So I'll never forget it. I was talking to God. It just walking and just having it on my brain. I'm just talking to him. And this was in January of that year. And I was saying, I said, Lord, look, all I'm asking is I know what I want to do now with this podcast. I know what I want to do. I got my idea. I got my vision out there. I don't know where I'm going, but I know what I'm going to start. If you can just get me out of this job by the end of the year, I'll be cool. And I forgot about it. I let everything, I forgot
just
about it.
flow. It just happened. You knew, you set it out there, you prayed, and then it came. And it
And
came in the
I
time.
think that was the most genuine, I guess you can call it a prayer that I've ever had. Cause I think I was just sick. I was just tired of it then.
Yeah.
And on December 16th, I mean, it was a little blindside. I was a little blindsided, but on December 16th, my manager brought me in the office and she was like, "We letting people go. We letting you go." But as soon as that happened, that prayer from way back then popped in my head. So I started laughing, and she was like, "Oh, I thought you was gonna be mad." I'm like, "No, I'm. I asked for something. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I asked for something, and it's gonna happen." So it's like I didn't have nothing. I didn't have no other reason but to trust it now because that's what I asked for. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, what am I gonna do about money? How's money gonna come?" That is the worst thing to be stressing about. Because if you just do the work, it'll start flowing. It'll find you.
hmm hmm That's crazy. You we're doing stories right now.
Yeah.
That's I and it just brings me back to a time, when you first open your business, obviously you're gonna think, what is my goal for the year, right? And they always say in your first 2 years, this is what business does, right?
Yep.
I kid you not. I wasn't focused on the money at all my first year because I just knew in my head it's gonna go like this. No, my first 8 months, I hit 6 figures. And I wasn't even trying. When I reflected back and it was time to do them taxes, I was like, "Good."
Dang. But
I
you know
mean,
what? Time was moving so fast you didn't even have a chance to think about it.
that's the thing. I was just doing what I loved. I was just, creating and building this business in this environment, and then it just came. It came. And the second year too, I was like, and every new year, I'm like, okay, what is my goal this year? And I was like, maybe a little more. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask for too much. Like and then more than doubled it. And
Yeah.
it's just because I was it
That
was
is
just
crazy.
focused. Yes, focused. And then
Crazy.
the third year, the same thing, more than double that. It was just
But the
unbelievable
see,
because
but does that thought pop in your head when that starts happening? It's like you start to think, and it's like, was I asking for too little? You know what I mean? It's
exactly,
sometimes it's like
exactly.
you've since I started this the first year, it's tripled. So it's like,
Mm,
was I really was that a small thing that I was wishing on? Because now you in your mind, you're like, oh,
mhm.
I can go wherever I need to go now.
Yeah. And so you set then now you just obviously you don't have the same goals as you did last year or 3 years ago. Like it increases as you hit one goal. Okay, now it's time to set more. But I'm not gonna fixate it on there. I'm gonna do what I need to do in the meantime
Mm.
for the process, and then I'm gonna hit my goal. So
Now you watch, now you watch, y'all get married in January.
yeah.
You watch the different kind of blessings that come your way just because you're following that union of marriage.
Mhm.
You watch, it's going to you and him. It's going to blow y'all's mind the doors that's going to open for y'all for your business for the things that he's doing. It's you are it's going to be crazy. It's
We see it right now. We're just like just touching our toes in it, and like, oh, this is what it's like.
yeah.
It's it's crazy because he's a firm believer on like having the one woman that you do so much more better when you have a wife. And I don't put engrave this in his head. I don't nag him about it or anything like that. I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay, I'm glad I'm glad you believe you're a believer in that because there's a lot of guys that still need that. How do you the
Confirmation.
ego.
It,
They
they
need
need
they
that
need a
the confirmation of the ego to be shook.
yeah, but they
It's
don't
funny.
realize.
It's funny. I'm gonna ask you, and I'm maybe both of y'all can get on, at some time because my idea for sometime before this year's over, I want to do a panel talk. It'll probably have to be on Zoom. You know what I mean? But I want to do a panel talk of men and women just to get an idea. And I'm gonna say from the beginning is all this. I don't want no arguing back and forth and all this, but just the idea of I don't know, like you said, men have to have their ego strokes, and
And
I
women
think
too,
that's a lane, yeah, and I think that's a lane that is getting saturated too with men feeling like they need to be this, and the women feel like they need to be. But it's like if y'all come together, y'all using all this energy on me, 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 me. If y'all just humbled yourself and came together, and y'all, we could blow this whole all these businesses. It's man, two better than one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I am so grateful, so blessed to have a partner and teammate that we literally it's our brains just click. He
Hmm.
understands why I say something. I don't have, and the way that you also portray it and the way you say it too. A lot of women, I feel like in a negative way, or you could say it in a way where like I'm gonna open his eyes to this, and hopefully it enlightens him, and then now he grows, and the other way around too.
Yeah.
With the men and women. But I'm grateful to have somebody who can see my vision or why I say something. I don't have to explain why. And I think that's when it comes with maturity. It comes with like he knows we both know we only want better for each other. I'm not saying this to try to argue with you. I'm not saying this. I don't care about argue. That's not my end goal. My end goal is so that we can both understand each other. And then
Hmm.
now how can we come together and bring it together? And
And that's the constructive criticism you was talking about. And it's
Mhm.
not. I always tell people, I'm like, constructive criticism is not. It's not always a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something to let's I see something that you might be able to tweak a little bit. It ain't. I'm not bashing you. I ain't throwing no darts. But if you could just tweak this a little bit, I think this will elevate you a
Yeah.
whole lot more. And it's like you said, it's not having to explain yourself. He
But
understands.
and to avoid the ego stroking, I think each other have to also compliment, like give the affirmations. There's 5 love languages. We can get so deep into all this stuff. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just be quick. So 5 love languages, There's not just one that speaks to you, not just two. You have to practice all for both you and your partner. And giving them the affirmations like, listen, you're doing a great job with this. I think that it can get even better if we just implement this, if we try it this way, try to look at it from this view. So words of affirmations, obviously quality time, physical touch, acts of services, gift giving, things like that. Like, you have to incorporate all of that to work. You can't just be like, well, I'm just me, I used to be a acts of services person. I like to do things and I like to give, but don't touch me, don't talk to me. That was me.
Yeah.
But when you find the right person, all those will open up for you. And you just gotta practice that. So.
And it becomes natural too. It's not like it don't feel forced. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, before we go, give everybody your social media and where can they reach you?
All right. So you guys can reach me at Trisha Pease CEO. It used to be MUA, but I'm not only just an MUA makeup artist. But Trisha Pease CEO. You can also reach me through Facebook if you like Trisha Pease. And my business account is anai.and.i.salon. And you can just go on my website. You can click on there. There's different options. You can book a call with me. You can go and book a service or any kind of trainings. You can go on there as well, search around. We definitely put a lot of time into our websites and the information that we have on there. So they can connect with me mainly through Instagram, though.
Trisha Pease, I appreciate you for jumping on this podcast with me today, and just keep doing what you're doing, because like you said, you got people watching you.
You as well. Thank you. And I only wish you prosperity for your business and your podcast. And we'll probably revisit like next year around this time, and with much more viewers and subscribers and so forth. So I only wish you the best, and thank you so much for having me on here and diving deep into my world. And thank you.
You're on YouTube, baby.